Assalamu alaikum students. This is the second part of my lecture on Persian literature. In my previous lecture, we have discussed the key points like Persian language, Persian philosophy, Persian religion, Persian art, culture, and their their interrelation of culture with art, of philosophy with religion, of language with literature. So again, in this lecture, we are going to cover the literary point of view, uh, the Persian pre-Islamic literature and then post-Islamic literature, the work in literary criticism, the work in poetry, in storytelling. So it's gonna be a very interesting lecture, and inshallah, in third point, we will discuss only the poet Maulana Rumi. While in this lecture, I'll discuss the intro of many other poets as well. So let's start this lecture. Here is the short introduction of Persian literature. Persian literature is considered as the jewel in the crown of world literature because Persian literature is different from rest of the world literature. It is different in a sense that it is not just confined to poetry, prose, drama as normally the genre of literature are. But in Persian literature, histories or medical treatises or religious texts or philosophical commentary is considered literature. So, the literature of Persia is the oldest in the world literature and it has influenced the literary works of many other cultures. So, to define Persian literature, we can say that it is almost it lies beyond the gate of time, a civilization of thousand years of celebrated heritage. That is why Persian literature is considered a cradle of civilization, a world of artistic forms and shapes, and a crossroad of civilization and a tolerant world empire. This is the second part of Persian philosophy. As I have told you that before Islamic conquest or pre-Islamic conquest, the philosophy was based on the teachings of Prophet Zoroaster, the old practiced religion, and after the Muslim conquest and Mongol invasions, the the teachings of Zoroaster were replaced by Islamic philosophy, and at that time there were two main philosophical traditions. The first one was the Illumination school or the Illuminationism, and that was founded by Shahabuddin Saharwardi in 12th century. While the other one is the Transcendent philosophy that was founded by Mulla Sadra in 17th century. So, the Illumination school um was the combination of Avicenna's philosophy and ancient Iranian philosophy. Avicenna is basically we know him as Bu Ali Sina, and Bu Ali Sina is known in West as Avicenna. So, Illuminationism is basically the combination of Avicenna's philosophy and the ancient Iranian philosophy, along with many new innovative ideas of Saharwardi. So, it is oftenly described as having been influenced by Neoplatonism. So, if we see the second, the transcendent philosophy, then as I told you that this school of Islamic philosophy was founded by Mullah Sadra in 17th century, and Mullah Sadra brought a new philosophical insight in dealing with the nature of reality and created a major transition from essentialism to existentialism in Islamic philosophy. So, several centuries before this occurred in Western philosophy. So, these are the two main philosophical traditions at that time after the conquest of Muslims and the Mongol invasions in Persia. Persian literature is basically divided into two parts. First is pre-Islamic Persian literature, and second one is post-Islamic Persian literature. As we have already discussed in the philosophy of Persia in my previous slide, that pre-Islamic philosophy was based on the teachings or the ideology of Prophet Zoroaster. Fine, and same is the case with literature, that pre-Islamic Persian literature is also based on the text of Gathas. Uh, like um, you can say that this is the oldest text in pre-Islamic Persian literature, and it is based on 16 or 17 short hymns written in an archaic form of an old Iranian language called Avestan or Avesta. Fine. So the Githas has been handed down as part of Avesta along with several more recent texts. It is generally accepted that they contain the original teaching of Prophet Zoroaster. And Prophet Zoroaster lived in the first half of first millennium, and his hum also shows the versification or the composition of precise prosody of which is still imperfectly known. And also an important to early Iranian literature are the remnants ancient myths that preserved in Avesta, especially in Yazd, which are texts addressed to Iranian deities. The names of several kings and heroes who later appear as semi-historical figures in Persian epic poetry are also mentioned, and the myth to which these texts refer were well known to the original audience, but now all is lost. This slide is the continuation of previous slide. In this slide again I'm going to share with you the pre-Islamic Persian literature. The first Persian Empire was the Achaemenid Empire. Achaemenid Empire is basically in Urdu we can say that Kadim Iran ke farma rawaon ka rukn, and it was ancient Iranian empire based in Western Asia, and it was founded by Cyrus the Great, and he was the first Achaemenid Persian king. So few literary works of Achaemenid Iran have survived due to the destruction of library of Persepolis. Persepolis was basically the capital of Persia at that time, and in the year 330 BCE, Alexander the Great conquered Achaemenid Persian Empire. So he marched to Persian capital Persepolis, and after looting its treasures, he burned the great palace and surroundings to the ground, and destroying uh, hundred of years worth of religious writings and art of that time that made Persepolis the jewel of the empire. He destroyed and burned everything. So most of what remains consists of the royal instructions of Achaemenid's king, and also the holy book of Zoroastrianism. And for your memory, for your update again, I'm repeating that Zoroastrianism is the old practiced religion, and it was based on the teachings of Prophet Zoroaster. So many holy books of Zoroastrianism and many Zoroastrian writings were destroyed in Islamic conquest in Iran in 7th century, and no single text devoted to literary criticism has survived from pre-Islamic Iran. Some of the essays like Ayane Nama Nabashtan, and that means that principles of writing book, and Babe Etadale Ya, and you can say different the quoted some researchers that quoted Shubai as asserting that the pre-Islamic Iranians had book on eloquence such as Karwand, and again the issue is that there is no remainings of such work of or the such books. Post-Islamic Persian literature. So after the conquest, the oldest surviving work of Persian literary criticism is Muqaddamah Shahnameh Abu Mansuri, and that was produced in during Samanid period, and in Urdu we call it Samanian Samanian period, and this period is very important as far as literature is concerned, as far as Persian culture is concerned, and in the next slide I'll discuss this period in detail. So, the work deals with the myths and legends of Shahnameh, and that work is considered the oldest surviving example of Persian prose. And it also shows an attempt by the author to evaluate literary work critically. As I have told you about a Samanid or Samanian period, that it is very important in literature. So here I want to discuss a brief history of Samanid Empire or the Samanid state that was founded by four brothers, Nuh, Ahmad, Yahya, and Ilyas, and each of them ruled their own territory under Abbasid suzerainty. And in 1892, Ismail Sammani united these four brothers and their territories under one rule. This effectively putting an end of the feudal system, and it became independent of Abbasid authority. So this is the brief history of Samanid Empire or Samanid state that was basically a Sunni Iranian empire from 819 to 999, and it also it is the part of Persian Renaissance or the Iranian intermezzo. So it is basically the creation of Persianate culture. Persianate is basically Persian society, and it created Persianate culture that is based on Persian language, Persian culture, Persian literature, Persian art, and identity. So, and we can see this identity brought Iranian speech and tradition into the fold of Islamic world, and that would later lead to the formation of Turco-Persian culture. In 9th and 10th century, a distinctive culture arose that was based on that Islamic world. So the other specification, the other qualities of that period, Samanid period or empire, is that it promoted art and gave rise to the advancement of science and literature. So a Samanid are basically that brought revival of Persian language and Persian culture, and they considered themselves to be the descendant of Sasanian Empire. And there is a famous adage that Samanid authorities declared that here in this region the language is Persian and the kings of this realm are Persian kings. So this is uh, this is it for Samanid Empire, and uh, I hope you have understood the basic idea that this empire is the part of Persian Renaissance, and the work that has produced during that period is Muqaddamah Shahnameh Abu Mansuri, and this period is important as far as Persian literature is concerned, Persian language and its culture. So this period is very important. Storytelling is another significant genre of Persian literature. Here, I'm going to talk about a folk tale that is um, compiled during the Islamic Golden Age, dated from 8th century to 14th century. And the name of this folk tale is 1001 Nights, and this is compiled in Arabic language, and it is a collection of folk tales, and in English it is known as Arabian Nights. And I am very much sure that you have um, watched that movie as well. This book was collection over many centuries by various authors, translators, and scholars across West Central Asia, South Asia, and North Africa. Some tales themselves trace their roots back to ancient and medieval Arabic, Persian, Indian, Greek, Jewish, and Turkish folklore and literature. In particular, many tales were originally folk stories from Abbasid um eras. Uh, in one of my slides, I have shared the context of Abbasid Empire, if you have remember. So the frame work or the frame story that is based on Pahlavi Persian work, that is Hazar Afsan, a thousand tales, and that is the story of a ruler Shahryar and his wife Scheherazade. Persian poetry is a very significant, is the most beautiful poetry in the world, and the Persian cultivated four types of poetry. The first one is epic, that is the historical way of writing, but the difference in Gashida, which we in Urdu call Qasida, and that is uh, a type of poetry that is based on purpose poem, that is called the purpose poem. And second one is Masnavi is the narrative poem, while the fourth one, ghazal, is lyrical poem. In 13th and 14th centuries, there were many poets like Sadi, Rumi, Hafiz. They were perfected in ghazal and lyrical poems, but they filled that poetry with their passions. And Rumi's Masnavi is considered one of the most beautiful Persian literary work in all Islamic writings. So in the next slide, we will discuss one by one almost all these poets like Ferdowsi, Rumi, Sadi, Hafiz, and many more poets. So let's move to the next slide. Okay, Abu al Qasim Firdausi Tusi. He is the author of Shahnama, and due to that work, Shahnama, he is considered one of the best Persian poet, and it took 35 years to write his epic poem about the heroes of ancient Persia. And the Shahnama, or the Book of Kings, is a long epic poem that is written by Firdausi Tusi, and it is considered as the national epic of Great Persia. So, let me tell you one thing, the important and the most interesting thing about Shahnama, that it is considered as world's longest epic poem and written by a single poet. And it consists of the mythical and some historical parts of 50 Persian kings from the creation of the world until the Arab invasion of Iran in the 7th century. And this work, Shahnama, contains 62 stories and that are told in 990 chapters with 50,000 rhyming couplets. It's so amazing that in 62 stories there are 990 chapters with 50,000 rhyming couplets. And this book, Shahnama, it is divided into three parts. The first part is the mythical part, second is heroic, and the third one is historical ages. So, this work, Shahnama, is considered the best work, the masterpiece, the longest epic poem ever written in Persian literature. Umar Khayyam is another prominent figure in Persian literature. Umar Khayyam was brilliant mathematician, astronomer, philosopher, and physician of 11th century. Actually, he contributed to the basic principles of algebra and developed an accurate solar calendar that was used for 800 years. However, he is best known today as a poet and he is best known for his work, the Rubaiyat, that is a lyrical poem in quatrain, and quatrains means four lines stanza. So rather than telling a story with character, a lyric poem presents the deep feelings and emotions of the poet on subjects such as life, death, love, and religion. And the most shocking thing for me is that the Rubaiyat was published in March 1859, but this collection of 100 Rubaiyat was received a little attention. And as far as a theme of these Rubaiyats are concerned, Umar Khayyam focused on the life that to be lived in the present. So the life uh, that is to be living here is the main focus of Umar Khayyam. And uh, these rubaiyat was first translated from Farsi into English in 1859 by Edward Fitzgerald, and the short poems of rubaiyat illustrate the pleasures of life while illuminating the political and religious context in which they were created. Nizami Ganjavi is another prominent figure in Persian literature, and he was the poet of 12th century, and he is considered as the greatest romantic epic poet in Persian literature. And his five long poems, known collectively as Khamsa, the quintet, or the Panchganj, five treasures, and Panj means Panch in Urdu. We used to say Panch Ganj, and Ganj is the treasures. So these Panchganj are composed by Nizami in the late 12th century, and these Panchganj set the new horizons, new standards in their own time for elegance of expression, richness of characterization, and narrative sophistication. And they were widely imitated for centuries by poets writing in Persian as well as in languages deeply influenced by Persian, like Urdu and Ottoman Turkish. So this Panchganj includes five Persian books of Nizami, that is Maghzan al-Israr, Khusro Shiri, Laila Majnu, Iskandar Nama, and Hafpekar. Abu Muhammad Muslahuddin bin Abdullah Shirazi. He is the Persian poet of 13th century, and if we say that without Abdullah Shirazi, Persian poetry is incomplete, then it would not be a wrong statement. He is the major Persian poet and prose writer of 13th century, that is the medieval period, and he is better known by his name Sadi, and he is also known as Sadi of Shirazi. He is recognized for the quality and the depth of his social and moral thoughts, and he is considered as master of speech. In Urdu, we say that Ustad-e Sufan. So, among Persian scholars, he has been considered as master of speech, and he is widely recognized as one of the greatest poet of classical literary tradition, earning him that title, the title of Master of Speech. So he is one of the three greatest ghazal writers of Persian poetry, and his best known works are Bustan, means the orchard, and Gulistan, means the rose garden. And Bustan is entirely in verse and consists of stories illustrating the standard virtues such as justice, liberty, modesty, and contentment. And Bustan is also considered as one of 100 greatest books of all the times according to The Guardian. The Guardian is the British daily newspaper, and his report is about 100 best books or 100 greatest book. So Bustan is one of them. Here is another important and significant or famous poet of Persia, that is Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi and Jalaluddin Muhammad Balkhi. Um, he is considered to be a Maulvi and Maulana, and in Urdu we say Maulvi as my master and Maulana as our master. So both words are associated with Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi, and he is the poet of Persian, very famous poet of 13th century, and one of the most passionate and profound poet in the history. And he is regarded as one of the greatest spiritual masters and poetical intellect. His work are written mostly in Persian, but occasionally he also used Turkish, Arabic, and Greek in his verse, and his works are widely read today in their original language across Greater Iran and the Persian speaking today. While the translations of his work are also very popular. His work, Masnavi, is widely recognized as the greatest Sufi poem ever written and has been called the Quran in Persia or in Persian language. So, Masnavi is the series of six books of poetry that together are around 25,000 verses, and Diwan-e Shams is another famous work of Rumi, and it is recognized as a masterpiece of wisdom and eloquence. His poetry has influenced not only Persian literature but also the literature or literary translations of Ottoman, Turkish, Urdu, Pashto language, and Chugtai language. So he is very famous, and we are going to study about Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi in detail in the third part of our lecture. Attar of Nishapur is another significant Persian poet. But I found it very interesting to share with you that Attar of Nishapur. Attar means herbalist, druggist, and which is which we can say that it was his profession, and this profession can also carry the implications of being alchemist. So herbalist in Urdu, I think it means Hakim. And Attar of Nishapur. Nishapur is the place where he was born, northeast Iran, and so he was famous with the name Attar of Nishapur, but his actual name is Fariduddin Attar. And let me share a very interesting thing that is related with his profession. And it is said that he saw as many as 500 patients a day in his shop, prescribing herbal remedies, which he prepared himself. And he wrote his poetry while attending to his patients. So it is very interesting thing about his life and work also. So he is one of the most ancient and highly revered poets of Persia, and Attar's poetry inspired Rumi and many other Sufi poets as well. And about 30 works of Attar survived, but his masterpiece is Mantaqe at Tayr. Tayr is basically an Arabic word which means bird, and Mantaq is means conference. So his masterpiece is Mantaq at Tayr, the conference of the bird, and his other words like Diwan, Israr-Nama, Musibat Nama, Ilahi Nama, Jawahir Nama, and Shahrul Ghalib is his work, and mm, yes, that's it. Um Attar of Nishapur. Hafiz is another famous Persian poet, and he is also known as Khwaja Shamsuddin Muhammad Hafiz Shirazi. And he's a 13th century Persian poet, and he's one of the most celebrated Persian poet, and his influence can be felt even today. As an author of numerous ghazals expressing love, spirituality, and protest, he and his work continue to be important to Iranian. Even many of his poems are used as proverbs or sayings. His influence in the lives of Persian speakers can be found in Hafiz readings and the frequent use of his poems in Persian traditional music, visual art, and Persian calligraphy. Okay, thank you very much, students. And in the third part, inshallah, we will cover Maulana Rumi.